I said to her, no more. No
Okay.
more. Everybody the same.
Okay.
Everybody fucking bastard. Thanks, everybody.
Hello, hello, hello. This is Uncle Tickles, and you are listening to New Dad. I hope you all brought your appetites today, because we are talking about one of my favorite topics, food. And we've covered this in the progress report episodes, but there is no secret here. I love to eat, and today we'll be talking about my love for eating, as well as some of our favorite family meals growing up, some of the meals we're making for our children today. And it gets dark, but our last meals, what we would choose for our last meals. And to talk about these fantastic topics, we brought back two New Dad fan favorites, the two gentlemen who have appeared now on the show more than any other guest. Adam, the chicken tender king of Minneapolis, Jenrick and Michael Flynn, here to dish on their favorite dishes. And I got pretty wrapped up in this episode. It was as I do when these guys come on, it's easy for me to forget that it's an actual podcast we're taping. These are two of my oldest friends. Get caught up in the conversation. So I forgot to contribute to quite a bit of these topics. And half the reason I wanted to do this episode was to talk about some of this stuff from my own upbringing. And I've been pretty critical at times of my parents and my own upbringing. And, I think it's fair that we give credit where credit's due, because in the realm of meals and food, my parents certainly exceeded, when you consider the hand they were dealt and really what we had to work with. So the fridge was always full, and there was always a hot meal, and dinner was a place where we all kind of gathered too. Our family was extremely close, especially me and my siblings, and I think part of that was based around this mealtime. And I've loved food since I was a kid, so I was constantly kind of at my mom's hip when she was cooking. What I remember about her as a cook was her resourcefulness. She could be missing 3 out of 5 ingredients for a recipe, and it would still turn out excellent. She was just someone who could really take lemons and turn them into lemonade a lot in the kitchen. And my dad was no slouch himself. He will tell you that his spaghetti was better than my mom's, even though they used the same jarred sauce. But Jono and I have talked in past episodes about his bagged lunches for school. They are notorious and legendary. But the person who gave me my love for cooking, and the person who was probably the best cook I've ever come across in my entire life, was my yaya. And in life and in cooking, she was adventurous and courageous, and just blessed with a remarkable combination of natural talent and an ability to cook something once and cook it like she had been cooking it in her entire life, which is really rare, for those people who like to experiment and try new recipes. That typically that first time, things don't turn out so well, but it was just such a raw, natural ability. There wasn't anything that she couldn't cook. And when you have holidays on that side of the family and Yaya hosted, it was something like out of a George R.R. Martin novel, where the feast was just endless, and every tabletop legitimately in our house, or any surface, had food on it. Whether it be just something, it just was overflowing with abundance. And when she got sick towards the end, I didn't see her in the hospital, and it was one of the few things that I'll probably regret my entire life. But the last time I did see her was with my brother, and we stopped by her house unannounced. And it was just, textbook, stereotypical Yaya. It just, the minute she saw us, it was in kind of one fluid motion. It was a hug and a pivot, and she was off into the kitchen to rustle up something to eat. And that was just her nature. She wanted to feed you. There was never enough, regardless of how much you protested or how full you said you were, she was still going to pull stuff out. And, we're a Greek family. And I think that's, if, pretty par for the course for a lot of Greek families and Italian families too. But, it was something just to be seen, to see. She was a small woman by all accounts. But when she started going, she was like a little old hurricane. And, she would usher you in and put you at the kitchen table. And like I said, she's rifling through the fridge almost immediately. And, she's listing off any leftover she has. She's essentially telling you, she's giving you this menu and she's putting it down for you. So, in this case, the meal was pretty simple. She had some bread, a leftover pasta, definitely a sausage, a homemade soup, and then no meal would be complete at Yaya's without one of her salads. And the salad could change, depending on what was seasonal or the ingredients. But for the most part, it was just, what you would imagine as a Greek salad. But, it tasted unlike any other salad I've ever had. It's one of those things that you could not replicate. No matter how many times I've seen her make it, and I know what goes into it, I know the process. Sometimes I dream about her making salad, and I'm there as a kid again, and I'm making the salad with her. It was leftovers, but it was one of the better meals. And I remember in the moment, just everything, just thinking like, God damn, it's everything. All of this is just so good, and this is just a hodgepodge of you go into my fridge right now, and I have leftovers, but half of it's trash. It's edible, but it's admittedly trash, and I'm a decent cook. It makes me sad knowing I didn't see her at the end, but also having that be my last memory is, there's something for that to be said too, I guess. But in my mailbag, I said my last meal would be a rack of lamb. And in the interview with Mike and Jenrick, I even edit it and talk about, I'd swap out mashed potatoes for noodles. But honestly, if I could have my Yaya's salad just one more time and have it be made by her, that's all I would want. So, Yaya, thank you for that, for giving me a love for food and a love for cooking. My waistline doesn't thank you, but my taste buds do. So this one's for you, Yaya. Rob Cause, take it away. Welcome back. This is Uncle Tickles. As we just mentioned, we are talking about food today with two of my favorite guests. We have Adam Jenrick and Michael Flynn returning. And Adam, Michael, food in your house, I'm curious, growing up, was there any foods that your parents made, whether it be a special meal or just something that you really enjoyed, that stands out to you, or something that still to this day you find yourself craving a little bit? I know there's quite a few from me, but I want to hear from you guys first. We'll start with you, Adam.
But besides rare Carl burgers,
The Sloppy Joe burger, which isn't a Sloppy Joe. It's an
no burger needs to be on a grill for more than 30 seconds.
Nope.
After that, you're just burning it.
If it's not bleeding down your face, it's not a burger.
Yeah, it's a damn shame your dad and Mr. Kelly never got together.
It's true.
They really enjoyed their undercooked red meats.
Yes.
Dude, the more you cook it, you cook out the protein, dude. You need all that for max gains.
That's true. As far as stuff comes, we did grill a lot. As far as my parents' cooking styles go, my dad was kind of like the grill master, the protein, person. So I would say what I still go back to and my mom still goes back to when I go home is just like a really thick bone-in pork chop that's barbecued, and my dad cooks it on the grill, and so that's kind of like the meal that we. And of course, my wife doesn't eat pork, so she's got to get her own thing. But not that we ate poorly back home, but like my grandparents were actually the ones that we looked forward to, like what they were cooking when we were at their place, because they were a little bit more along those lines than my folks.
So then, what was something your grandparents would make? Was there something that stands out for them?
Yeah, so it's funny because I'm in the chicken business, but my mom's mom.
Here comes the plug.
Chicken tender king of Minneapolis.
He's like, you know what I really crave when I want that meal? It's just something from Cane's.
Yeah.
When I want that home cooked meal like Grandma would have made.
Yep.
I shoot over to Cane's.
Yeah.
Back in '89, when Cane's didn't exist, I was just craving those tasty tenders. Tenderoni.
My mom's mom, you guys know her, my Grandma C, we called her, because Grandma Cross, she lived with us at the probably the last 7 years of her life before she went into a home. So she used to cook fried chicken just straight up the worst way you could make it. So and that was our go-to meal with her before she lived with us. When we used to go to her house and stay overnight, it was beef fried chicken, and that's kind of how we fell in love with that kind of maybe even you'd call it Southern style food, because she did grow up in Southern Illinois and other places like that they have a little bit more along those lines. So,
have you had an instance where you've had really good fried chicken and it kind of takes you back to your grandma, or is it more so that most fried chicken you put in your mouth just doesn't do it justice?
We actually, Joanna's mom, Linda, I don't think any of you've met Joanna's mom, but Linda, they come from a Middle Eastern and Greek descent. So that's actually kind of a little bit, I know you and her, Tommy, have shared kind of thoughts on food, but her mom, one time, I can't remember if it was at their house or something, she made a really good fried chicken that kind of took me back in that fashion. And I'm sure we told her about it. And
awesome. Flinny, what about you? Is there anything that you remember eating growing up that was kind of like something you wish you could go back and have right now, or just love?
Besides sandwiches?
Besides what?
Sandwiches.
Well,
lunch meat.
So I mean, growing up, our situation was my mom worked nights at the hospital, so she was usually sleeping during the day, and my dad can't cook for shit, obviously. So meals I remember would be like, my dad just getting some lunch meat and some bread. I remember a lot of Cinnamon Toast Crunch. And when I craving food, I would probably say 3 Stars Pizza. I mean, I think we probably ordered pizza 3 or 4 nights a week, if good call.
Oh my God, yeah.
At a minimum.
Long John Silver's on Fridays.
Long John Silver's. I could go for a hush puppy. That would definitely take me back. But I wouldn't say, I don't ever remember my mom would cook maybe like chicken nuggets and French fries. Right. I don't remember like any
elaborate meals.
No.
Was there like a grandma or anyone in the family who cooked like that, or no?
I mean, you guys have been to my grandma's house before. Right. I mean, she was pretty older. I mean, I remember meals there, but I also don't remember it being anything that was like
that special.
In all honesty, I remember the Long John Silver's in Henderson, Kentucky more than any meal at my grandma's house by far. Or what was that buffet?
Old Country Buffet?
No. It was in Kentucky, but I can't think. Shoney's.
Oh.
Those are like the food memories I have. I don't remember like a meal or anything being like, I remember my parents made this or that. And I remember some kick-ass restaurants.
well, that's interesting, Ben, because
and that brings me back to my point of being an overweight kid.
Yeah, well, I mean, it does kind of bring to that point, because I was going to ask, like, how do you think that shaped your relationship with food as you were becoming an adult living on your own? And like, that's one of the first things that I think a lot of people struggle with is, if you've had parents who cook for you, you go out and all of a sudden you're doing all that stuff on your own. Because you worked in some kitchens in college too, I imagine. There's quite a bit you picked up there.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, as you get older, you learn more. I mean, you kind of have to,
right.
Out of one or two ways. Either you have to find a different way to eat, or you just learn more about what nutrition is in food, and you want to make an active change, I think. But I think the relationship part, I don't know. I mean, I don't really remember anybody that was eating healthy. I don't know. I mean, we used to get 50-piece nuggets all the time. I don't remember being like, hey, dude, do you think we should get like a salad?
No.
But then as you get older, then you start being like, oh, McDonald's is feeding you like this weird processed meat. And you're like, oh, why would I have eaten that? You know what I mean? So like, yeah, you know what I mean? You can learn more as you get older, but I don't remember ever thinking and or caring
Yeah.
really about food ever until maybe like 25.
Well, for sure. And I think part of it's getting older too, but part of it I think is maybe a little bit of, just we know more, right? And that science has progressed, or maybe it's just become more popular. And you just look at athletes, right? And how they're taking care of their bodies compared to athletes, like Larry Bird was literally smoking cigarettes and drinking beers at halftime. And now LeBron James spends $1 million on his body on the off season, and it's nutrition is part of that, a huge part of how athletes are taking care of their body better. So yeah,
But think about just the options too. Like there weren't like, we were getting food at Jewel. There wasn't like the Whole Foods, you know what I mean? Like it was like a grocery store you were getting your food from, you know what I mean?
Well, and Jenrick, you might be someone really good to talk about this, but also the proliferation of options as far as healthy kind of fast food options. I know protein bar is one that jumps to mind, and Freshie is another that jumps to mind for me. But I imagine it's a sector that's probably booming and growing pretty fast. Is that accurate?
Yeah, there's like your sweet greens and a lot more fast casuals and you could call them fast foods or QSRs that are popping up that kind of meet some of those niches. You're seeing a lot more like Chipotle styles where it's Cafe Zupas. I don't know if they're in Chicago or not, but it's basically the Mediterranean version of Chipotle, where it's like you got 3 options to start, then add this, and this, and it's a little more niche. So obviously you're gonna have to depend on meeting the needs of a very specific group that can meet your financial needs. But yeah, it's definitely popping up a lot more.
And I didn't plan on talking about this right away, but I think we kind of organically kind of landed there. But one of the things that's fascinating to me looking at kids, whether it's your guys' kids or other friends' kids, and even my own kids a little bit, is the food they're exposed to at an earlier age. And I know that not everyone is the most adventurous, but I see kids who are like 6 years old and can use chopsticks, and it blows my mind, or kids that are around that age, and they want to go out and have sushi, like they're choosing to go for sushi. Is it something that you guys are also noticing, or is this something that maybe I'm crazy and I'm just noticing?
Well, I noticed it because Kate and I both love sushi. So the sushi reference part is just because that's where I want to go eat. And if I got to go, you know what I mean, through the whole rigmarole of taking the kids out and having them, just go crazy in public for an hour and a half, I at least want to eat something I want to eat. So I don't know if it's necessarily the cultural exposure. It's just that's what I like. So,
but how old were you when you had your first, when you had sushi for the first time?
I don't know. Pretty young, 31, 32.
Yeah.
I got out there and tried at a pretty young age.
Yeah. That's kind of my point though. It's like, I don't think I had it.
But at the same point, but I don't know if that was just, I don't know, because we were raised like in Woodstock, Illinois, and like, I don't know. Could you tell me one sushi restaurant there? I can't think of one.
Well, not when we were growing up, but now they have one.
I feel like I was pretty cultured going to El Niagara.
That was like ethnic food for us growing up. It was. Now, supposedly, I know people, and just from Facebook and stuff, who actually travel from like Marengo, Cary. They go to there's a sushi place called Golden Rolls, and supposedly it's really good. I've never eaten there, but shout out to Golden Rolls in Woodstock.
If you want to sponsor Nude Ads, reach out to Tom.
That's right. I like them spicy rolls. That's just something I've kind of picked up on. Jennifer, is that something you've noticed with either your kids or your kids' friends?
Probably less so my kids, as I've seen it in some of their peer group. And I think it's more just us, what we've chosen to do or fell into doing. I think there's like and maybe this will be covered in other questions along these lines, but kids eat anything when they're young. Like you're probably in that phase right now where maybe Shep is starting to transition to like, I don't want this because goldfish are awesome.
Oh yeah, he's there. He's in that picky stage.
And it's like, the more you nurture to keep them from recognizing like what, you don't have a choice in what I'm giving you. Like, I think the more you're going to keep them open it up to sushi and other things or whatever you want to choose. More fruits and vegetables, in my opinion, like getting them to recognize that like if they refuse something, it doesn't mean they get to choose something that they like more so afterwards. So
I think that's a really good point, Jenner, is just giving them the options and making sure they're exposed to all of those things. So they think that's the norm, that like coming out of nowhere with like some strawberries. It's like, what the heck is this? You know what I mean? But if you're just, giving them fruits all the time, like you say, then that's what it is. So when they can't have this, it's not like you said. I think that's a really good point.
Who's doing the cooking in your guys' houses? Is it something that one spouse is handling more than the other? Is it like a shared responsibility?
Most of the time, well, I should say, with COVID, we've been having to do a lot more meals with the kids at home. So that's been more of a challenge. But like in general, it's just trying to split it, to be honest with you, because no one likes to have to cook all the meals and or clean up after it. So it's give and take, because most of the meals we're making for the kids aren't super elaborate. It's just getting it done. And then one person just has to watch the kids while the other person's cooking. So it's just trying to figure out who's, in that state of mind to want to do the cooking and or watching the kids.
For sure. But what about you, Jenrick?
Well, Joanna's actually a really good cook, and she likes to. So I've gotten better over the time, but I'm much more kind of like my dad, like proteins, grill, charcoal. So I handle that side of things. Yep.
Texas Roadhouse, gotcha.
Exactly. So she does
throwing peanuts on the floor.
Yeah. I'll take the camera and show you mine. The dinner being the one meal that we typically, spend more time thinking about what we're going to do as opposed to just whether it's a bowl of cereal or something in the morning. She probably does, I'd say 80%, maybe even more, but she does a good job with it and tinkering with the combination of are we making for us the same meal 100% that the kids are going to eat, or is there some kind of combination of the two, or whatever that looks like. So we're trying to stay away from like, well, you get macaroni and you get a hot dog because that's what you're willing to eat and all that type of stuff.
Yeah, I can imagine that being tough. And Flynn kind of touched on this, but with cooking, what are the factors that kind of drive it? Is it mostly about just what you can get out fast and that they'll eat at this point? With the exception of maybe dinner, it sounds like.
No, I think it depends.
Yeah.
I mean, I know what they'll eat for the most part. You know what I mean? So it's trying to find a balance of the garbage that they want versus something nutrition that they need.
Right.
And, finding that happy medium. So the quickness, yeah, I don't know any kids' meals, you know what I mean? I was talking like you're not making like lasagna from scratch for the kids,
Right,
you know what I mean?
right,
Like I'm saying for the most part, making like some quesadillas or some mac and cheese, you know what I mean? Or that doesn't take extended periods of time. So it's not anything hard with that. It's just finding what they're going to have. And generally brings the biggest point is not catering to each individual. Like, like here, like a short iron cook at the Waffle House. You know what I mean? Like, because one will be like, I want this, and like, I want this. Like, we're making this, and it goes across the board. Now, where we divide sometimes is sometimes Kate and I will eat something different than what the kids
for sure,
yeah,
100%
are having. So I would say like that's where the divide comes in sometimes, because they're not always eating what we're eating and vice versa. But it's making sure that they're each having basically the same thing.
Yeah, no, I mean, and that sounds pretty similar to our play. And it's easy now, and I'm just trying to kind of prepare for the impending situation where Solo is eating solids, and where we're trying to avoid exactly what you're talking about, the multiple meals for different kids. But 100%, I would say we're always cooking, with the exception of probably breakfast, where we're eating a lot of the same stuff, where it's just like sausage, bacon, and eggs, fruit, whatever. We're having a separate lunch and we're having a separate dinner, so we're cooking a lot.
I went breakfast at your place: bacon, eggs, fruits.
Oh, yeah.
It's like a brunch buffet over there at Papa's house.
It's not. I mean, they don't get all of that every time, but I'm just saying it's normally some combination of those things.
Coming down for breakfast at your place,
dude. Come on down, biscuits and gravy. That's in the Uncle Tickles specialty. Do you guys have go-to meals like that you kind of think of as like, let's say some cooking competition walked into your door right now and they said, hey, make your best dad meal, that you like making for your kids. What are you guys making for Chef Gordon Ramsay? And we'll go with Adam.
I would lose. Like Flynn said, like the go-tos is the eat. Like if I'm responsible for dinner, like lunch is easy. It's like you're trying to make sure they have a fruit, or maybe a yogurt, a sandwich, or whatever. It's the division of like the food groups thing, and you're trying to make sure they eat all that. On the dinner side, it's like, am I getting like stir fry and broccoli and like making sure they have rice? And hell no. Like it's gonna, if I'm responsible for all of it, it's gonna be more the east side of things, and probably giving them more of what they like. So whether I'm putting pizza in or I'm making macaroni, now I'm gonna do a good job of it. I'm gonna make it to the best of my ability, but I'm definitely Joanna's putting the most thought into the dinner side of like she plans like we were just talking about this tonight because her brother's coming into town with his wife and 2 kids, and it's like, all right, we got to plan the next 4 dinners. So, she does a good job of that, but at the same time, like we, once a week it's probably pizza, and once a week it's probably Cane's. So
Okay, yeah. So Flynn, what are you making when Gordon Ramsay kicks down your door and starts shouting obscenities at you?
This is a good tip for your audience on how to sneak nutrition into your kids.
Oh yeah.
here we go.
So I make a smoothie every day. It's like the exact same smoothie, but I love peanut butter. Long story short, I had to cut out the peanut butter because I was eating way too much of it because it turns out there's a lot of calories in peanut butter. But I use this powder stuff called PB Fit. But either way, it still makes the smoothie really sweet. So it's ice, this PB Fit stuff, blueberries, and then it's like kale or arugula or collard greens, and then bananas.
Okay.
And chocolate flax milk or chocolate almond milk. Let me take that back. And the kids love it. It's one of those things where like when they see me making every day, like they want to take it just to annoy me.
Oh, yeah.
But then they actually start eating, and they don't realize that they're getting like an amazing amount of nutrition. They each probably like slam like one of these a day, like a cup a day of my like post-workout smoothie, just because they love the peanut butter and chocolate taste.
What's the predominant flavor that comes out? Peanut butter?
Peanut butter.
Oh, awesome, man.
It's like
Peanut butter.
It's like fight milk.
Joanna makes something similar, not quite like a workout variety, but like blueberries, banana. She also has a juicer, so like she made a thing tonight with dinner that was like apples, carrots, I think it was celery, maybe spinach, whatever. And some of the kids will do that, and which is obviously hiding it.
Yeah, but that's another great way to sneak it in that I didn't even think about. But then I kept taking my smoothies all the time, and I'm like, all right, well, they're actually probably pretty good for you. So go ahead.
So we talked a little bit about what your go-to meals would be if you're cooking for your kids. I'm kind of curious, just you two, if you guys had to choose a last meal for yourselves, what you guys would choose to dine on.
Ooh, dark question. I like that you're going there.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I don't necessarily think of it as like the meal you're having before you die, but just like the one meal you could have if you could have any meal you wanted at that moment, at the snap of a finger. So Flynn, we'll start with you.
Ooh, put the pressure on. Yeah, so if I was about to die and I got one meal,
Calories don't apply, Flynn.
I would probably say maybe like a 3 stars Euro pizza.
Ooh.
I remember that would be pretty awesome. Maybe a hamburger of some sort that I'm trying to think of from where. I don't know. Shake Shack's okay, but I'd still think I'd probably just take like a double quarter pounder from McDonald's
Oh yeah.
over that.
I'm not mad at that answer. Jennifer, have you thought about your last meal? Do you know what you'd be eating?
I actually would go burger too. But I'm odd because the place I'm going to mention is not known for their burgers, but I would go with a Portillo's double cheeseburger with fries with the cheese sauce.
Yeah.
And we have Portillo's here in Minnesota, only a few. So, and it's not super close. So like we do it on occasion on like, the ability to go real close by like you guys. And it's so good.
Oh.
I would definitely go there.
That's fantastic. It was a question I had in my mailbag, and I wanted to answer or see what you guys had to say. And I actually wanted to amend my mailbag answer if anyone's listening. I chose mashed potatoes, but I think I'd rather have like some sort of pasta, maybe some sort of angel hair, and with some sort of a light pan sauce. So otherwise, I would stick with the rack of lamb and then some sort of salad and soup and greens. So.
Or all of it.
Yeah, see, here's where I actually have a hard time with this, because if it was my last meal and it's really unlimited, then it's really just going to sound like this crazy haphazard buffet of like gyros and fried rice and lamb and salad.
Oh, dude, you know what else would be good? Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, go ahead.
Real quick. What was that Greek place right by your house with Gus was the cook? Their pizza pocket. Remember their pizza pockets?
Beef Villa.
Beef Villa. Oh, dude. A Beef Villa pizza. A Beef Villa pizza puff. Throw that one back in the mix, dude. I just thought about that. Yeah. If I could have Gus fry me up one of those bad boys, yeah. Maybe like 15. That'd be it. Sorry.
No. You never have to apologize.
It just came up.
When we're talking about pizza puffs from Beef Villa. I mean, that place is definitely got a very strong place in my heart. And it's weird because I live in Chicago. It's one of the culinary epicenters of the world, not just the United States. And there's so many places from Woodstock, which is just a trash place as far as eating options, that I find myself craving and looking back at. You mentioned El Niagara, Flynn. Like every time I'm back in Woodstock, I always pick up El Niagara chips and salsa.
Tommy's Red Hots.
Oh, Tommy's. I'd put a Tommy's hot dog versus most of the hot dogs I have here in the city.
Yeah.
And then 3 stars. I mean, there's a few more that I'm probably. Even the stupid Chinese places. Green Garden. That place was fire. So yeah, I mean, it's stupid how many places I do miss from back home. We're getting to our last question, and then once we answer that last question, I have a game for you guys. But from a standpoint of your kids don't finish their meals, so what are your favorite kids' foods to consume? Like, what are you rooting for that Mikey or Jax just doesn't have the stomach to finish?
French fries, chicken nuggets, and probably any cereal. I will say this: sometimes I don't mind if they don't finish their cereal in the morning.
Gotcha. You like it when it's real soggy.
Chocolate. No, because most of the time they're not even using it with milk. To be honest with you, they're just eating it out of a bowl.
I neither. It's so weird.
Yeah, so it's dry. So I should clarify that. No, I'm not eating like the soggy leftover like bottom of the barrel cereal. No, I'm just talking about it's just dry. So usually I'm usually the one that adds the cereal in after they're done.
Gotcha.
Milk to add the cereal to finish it. So I'd say chocolate checks, maybe any breakfast cereal food.
Nice. Yeah, I think for me there's like a holy trinity of kids foods, and at the top of that you have chicken nuggets, and then what make the foundation of that pillar or the triangle is macaroni and cheese and grilled cheese.
Yep.
I could just eat those all day, every day, and be pretty happy. So, those are, and I admittedly will like, Lita will look at the amount of food I make for shop and just shake her head, because I'm making food as if I'm cooking for like you guys, as if you guys were coming over and having lunch with me. It's really like 40 chicken nuggets and a giant pot of macaroni and cheese, which my brother told a story. You guys were talking about packing lunches about on one of the past episodes about Papa Pappas's and the lunches he packs. And this is something I wanted to ask you, because I'm excited to pack Shep's lunches, because this is something I remember Papa Pappas doing, and he would drop in like a family style bag of chips that like we were. Because he would, 9 times out of 10 he would have forgotten that
pack of smokes.
Yeah, the bag
instant coffee.
The bag was saturated in enough cigarette smoke that you could get your nicotine buzz just from
breathe the bag.
Yeah, just a little huffing of the bag and you got your smoke. No, but I look forward to this because, and I think in part it was because he would forget and then be like, Dad, I need a lunch, and he would literally feel bad that he forgot. So it'd be like a party-sized bag of Ruffles just folded in half and shoved in there, like a 2-liter bottle of RC that was like 3/4 drinking. He would throw together like 3 sandwiches, and then he would, like, I don't know, like a giant bag of like Tootsie Rolls that probably could feed 1,000, children. So, and then we'd be like pulling these things out of lunches, like a giant shopping bag would be our bag lunch, while everyone has those like little like nice sack lunches. So that's one thing I'm excited for. I'm definitely excited for to share my first Euro with Shep. Are there any foods that you're excited to share with your kids? That they haven't maybe been exposed to yet. Flynn, are you excited to take your kids to Long John Silver's and expose them to their first hush puppies?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not even sure where the closest one is to Seattle. To be honest with you, I don't think it's close.
I feel like
honestly, I would say if I could like bringing them back to like Woodstock or something, maybe there'd be some like nostalgic places that like I'd be excited to like take them to that I went to as a kid.
Like in El Niagara.
Yeah, like El Niagara, 3-star, something like that. But I can't think of like a specific food.
Gotcha.
And I was like, oh wait, bro, I can't wait till we do this together.
What about you, Jennifer? Is there anything that you're excited to share with any of your children? You've already shared the joy of tender, the chicken tenders.
True, and they're all about that.
Yeah.
Well, a big part of my career was Texas Roadhouse. Tommy actually got to work under the table.
For sure.
He got paid under the table. And
he was working under there too, for sure.
A couple of them.
So the amount of like really good quality red meat that I ate for like a good 10-year span of time is a little bit forgotten at this point. Like, it's amazing to me like how little I eat like a good ribeye and stuff like that, just because of expense. And So I'm looking forward to the point where we can where the kids, especially the boys, like, I don't even know if they've tried steak, to be honest with you, because it's just not something we've done. But like when they're like really digging a good meal that you can grill or a good steak that you can go out and eat, something you do with your dad.
So are you gonna like channel like Mr. Kelly and just bring him out to the grill, make a shotgun a couple tall boy Coors Lights with you, and just teach them all about the ways of grilling meats?
If it comes to that, I will.
I think you're gonna have to, right?
What's the earliest I can have them shotgun a beer?
I mean, we'd have to ask the Kellys for that, but I'm pretty sure it was like.
It's not old.
I think I remember it around 15 or 16.
I'm pretty sure if you can hold it, you can shotgun it.
If you can get keys to poke it.
Yeah, and then
if you can puncture the can, you're strong enough to shotgun it.
Yeah, and then once you're doing that, it's really just a short evolution to the Indy 500.
And bam, next thing you know, you're in the infield at the 500.
That's right, in the snake pit. All right, guys. Well, is there anything else we missed food-wise that you guys want to talk about before I let you go? I think that's all the questions I had. Nope. All right. Well, we're gonna play this game here real quick. We're gonna take a quick break and then we're gonna come back. We're gonna spin this wheel. We're gonna play spin the wheel with the boys. All right. We are going to play a game here, as I mentioned at the top of the show. Both these gentlemen are part of the movie club that we talked about in the mailbag. Our friend Patrick in Indianapolis asked about that. And since both these gentlemen are competitive and they are in the movie club, what we're going to do is we're going to play a little game where we're going to spin the movie club wheel here. And I've got a bunch of actors' names. Most of these actors are actors that we've drawn in our own movie club. Once an actor is drawn, you're going to have 30 seconds to name as many movies that actor has starred in as possible. And then at the end, we're going to tally up who has the most movies, and we will declare a winner. So does anyone want to spin first? Okay,
sure.
We'll have Adam spin first. And here we go. Actually, let's put the camera on me and the wheels.
Wait, who picked these actors?
So all the actors are from our movie club, with the exception of a couple, and I tried to go with either.
Did you and Jay talk about this beforehand?
We didn't. So Jenner
I don't know if I believe it.
Scott Bakula.
Has he been in? Can I name TV shows?
Nope.
I'll allow it. I'll allow some TV shows in this.
Has he even been in any movies?
I mean, I don't want to give you any answers, but yeah, I can think of at least one or two.
You can't say Quantum Leap.
You absolutely can. I'll allow it. So let me get my stopwatch going, and Jenner on 30 seconds. Let me know when you're ready.
I'm ready.
Okay, go.
Quantum Leap.
That's it.
It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. He was in the musical episode. Wasn't he in one of the CS? I feel like he was in one of the CSIs, or he was in a show like that.
For sure.
Do I have to name it right?
He was also in a major sports franchise.
Oh, he was in Major League? One of them?
Yeah.
So not Major League One, but 2 or 3.
Yeah. Okay. So even though Jenner pretty much gets 0, he gets
even though in our history as high schoolers we would have said he'd been in everything.
Well, that's what I was hoping you were going to name. I thought you should have just been naming Dick Tracy. You should have.
You're right.
He was in Dick Tracy.
Yeah, he was in everything.
No. You know what movie you totally forgot? You know what you forgot with Bakula was Unnecessary Roughness.
Oh, that is a
probably the best Bakula movie there is.
That is really, really good.
He was in a movie called The Illusionist too. I just thought of it.
Ooh,
I'll give it to you. I'll give you all of it.
Yeah, I like that movie. All right, Flynn, you ready to spin the wheel?
Yeah, I don't know who said Scott Bakula on the movie club, by the way? I don't remember that one.
No one did, but I included it as an inside joke. I just explained how it ended up on there because it used to bust Jenner's balls. Oh, this is Nick Cage.
Oh, super easy. Okay. Super easy.
Yeah, well, that's the way sometimes, life isn't fair, and sometimes neither is the wheel. Flinny, your score to beat is 3.
Okay.
Let me know when you're ready.
I'm ready.
Okay, go.
So probably his best movie, Mandy.
Yeah.
Con Air.
Ding.
Face Off.
Ding.
Gone in 60 Seconds,
Ding.
Ghost Rider.
Ding.
What else has Nick Cage been in? What am I missing?
Quite a few.
I know.
Starts with a number. You're very, very big in your list. Starts with a number.
Oh, 8mm.
Yeah.
There you go.
There you go. Time.
Okay.
Flynn, all right,
He was
so-
literally in 2 National Treasures. You could have been 2/3 of the way there with just that franchise.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I don't know why I didn't think of National Treasure.
Yeah.
You did win, though.
You did win. I would
In my
also-
defense, I think I don't think Scott Bakula has actually been in more than 1 or 2 movies. So
That's true.
Well, like I said, sometimes life's not fair, and neither is the wheel. So Jenna drew the short end of the wheel stick today. Maybe next time, it'll be Flynn drawing the Scott Bakula of the wheel. But today, Flynn comes out on top, victorious, and there was no mustache preference there. So thank you guys again for coming in, and as always, thank you for listening. We will be back soon, and take care.